I have given you 2 of the 4 rules that you will have in today's lesson. If you do not completely understand these 2 rules, be sure to either rewind the tape and listen to the explanation again, or get help. If you think you completely understand the 2 rules that I have presented, then proceed to the exercises. I'm going to give you a set of exercises. As you do the exercises, be sure that you refer back to the rule and you think about how the rule applies to the problem that I'm giving you. I want you to copy down the exercises and then stop the tape. Work the exercises and restart the tape to compare answers. Simplify. The first one, 2x to the negative 3, y to the 4th, times 5x to the 8th, y to the negative 12. The second one, 18 x to the 4th, y to the negative 5, divided by 27 x to the negative 3, y. That's x to the negative 3. It's kind of hard to see, but it's 18 x to the 4th, y to the negative 5, divided by 27 x to the negative 3, y. The third one, 2x to the 3n times a negative 6 x to the 5n. As soon as you get them copied, stop the tape. Here are your answers. The answer to the first one, 10 x to the 5th divided by y to the 8th. The answer to the second one, 2x to the 7th divided by 3y to the 6th. The third one, a negative 12x to the 8n. If you disagree with any of these answers, be sure to check with someone. Now let's consider an example in which we are raising a power to a power. Notice that x squared is a power. We are raising x squared to the 3rd power. So we're raising a power to a power. Now looking inside the parentheses, x squared is the base. The exponent is 3. So this exponent 3 tells me to use x squared as a factor 3 times. So I write down x squared times x squared times x squared. Now x squared tells me to use x as a factor 2 times. This x squared tells me to use x as a factor 2 times. And this x squared tells me to use x as a factor 2 times. Well, notice in all I've used x as a factor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Well, how could I have gotten the answer much faster? 2 times 3 is 6, which gives us our next rule that you would need to know. To raise a power to a power, keep the base and multiply the exponents. To raise a power to a power, keep the base and multiply the exponents. Written symbolically, x to the a raised to the b power is x to the a times b. To raise a power to a power, you keep the base, multiply the exponents. Well, let's look at an example. Let's look at x to the negative 2 raised to the 3rd power. We're raising a power to a power. To raise a power to a power, you keep the base and multiply the exponents. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. A negative exponent tells me to take the reciprocal of the base, so I would have 1 over x to the positive 6 as the answer. There's one more rule of exponents that we need to develop. For that one, let's consider x times y cubed. So we have x times y inside the parentheses raised to the third power. Now x times y raised to the third power means xy times xy times xy. Using the associative and the commutative properties of multiplication, I can group and put my x's together and put my y's together to get x times x times x times y times y times y. If I have x used as a factor 3 times, that's the same as x cubed. Y used as a factor 3 times is the same as y cubed. So notice what's happened. This exponent 3 has been applied to both of the factors inside the parentheses. Well, that leads to our next rule. An exponent outside the parentheses applies to all factors and divisors inside the parentheses. An exponent outside the parentheses applies to all factors and divisors inside the parentheses. Written symbolically, x times y to the a is x to the a times y to the a. An exponent outside the parentheses is applied to all of the factors inside the parentheses. An exponent outside the parentheses is applied to the factors and the divisors inside the parentheses. Let's look at an example using the last two rules. Let's simplify 2x to the third y to the negative 2 raised to the negative 4 power. First of all, the exponent outside the parentheses applies to all of the factors inside. So it would be 2 to the negative 4, x cubed to the negative 4, y squared to the negative 4. The exponent outside the parentheses applies to all of the factors inside. Now to continue, I need to know that to raise a power to a power, I keep the base and multiply the exponents. So I have 2 to the negative 4, x to the negative 12, keep the base, multiply the exponents. 3 times the negative 4 is negative 12, y to the 8, keep the base, multiply the exponents. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Now we have the negative exponents to clean up. Since I have 2 to the negative 4, I have to take the reciprocal and write it as 1 over 2 to the 4th. I have x to the negative 12, I have to do the reciprocal and write it as 1 over x to the 12th. Since the exponent is positive, I'll leave it as y to the 8th, which is understood to be y to the 8th over 1. Now I'll simply multiply. 1 times y to the 8th is y to the 8th. 2 to the 4th is 16 times x to the 12th times 1 is 16 x to the 12th. And there's my answer.